Hello, Crawley fans, and welcome to the second episode of In Focus, the series where we're taking a little bit of a closer look into some of the players' personal lives and talking about their time at the club so far. I'm delighted on this episode. We're joined by Harry Forster. Harry, how are we doing?
Very well, thank you, mate. Very well.
Good. So with you, we've got more of an interesting insight because unlike Toby, you've been here obviously a little bit longer. So we can take a bit of a deeper dive into last season, which was obviously very successful. And we were just talking off camera. It feels very strange because with how crazy the playoff run and obviously Wembley was, we never really got an opportunity to talk to any of the lads about like promotion, and obviously a lot of them went on to leave the club, so it would be a good opportunity for us to do that. But I want to take it right back to when you signed for Crawley first. Did you really think at that point that what we did that season was possible? You can be honest as well. This is an open conversation.
No, I think that was the dream. That was the dream. And that was a conversation I had with the manager, because all the external noise at the time was like, Crawley was signing all these boys from non-league. And, people were already writing us off before a ball was kicked. But when I came and saw the manager here, in the off-season, and he was outlining to me all of his plans and how, don't listen to anyone from the outside because I know what players I'm signing. I know how good we're going to be this year. It filled me with so much confidence, and that you know what, we can do something special now. And once I got in the building and saw the quality of what we had, like there was no chance we were going to get relegated. But more importantly, we all felt the belief that we can proper have a good go here.
Yeah, and it was difficult, I think, for everybody sort of in and around the club at the start of the campaign, because obviously we just escaped relegation the year before that, so people were just thinking, they've just escaped, as you say. We're signing, people like Crawley from obviously Oxford City at the time, and people were already writing him off before, as you say, a ball's even been kicked. So it was difficult for all of us, and obviously we're doing the interviews before the season, talking to Dan, and he'd just come off of what he would describe as a tricky campaign at Grimsby, and has gone on to score 20 goals by the end of the season, which is absolutely crazy. But at what point in the season did you realise, other than the first sort of few training sessions where you said, obviously, we've got some good talent in, was there a specific game where you realised that we've got a really good squad here?
Do you know what it was? It was, I think the first game of the season was just massive for everyone. Because obviously we were, filled with the belief from the manager that we can do something special this season, before the first game of the season. And then us feeling it together as players. But once you get that first result on the board, then it sounds silly to say from the first game of the season, but it just fills you with so much confidence knowing that. I think was it Bradford? I think it was Bradford first game of the season.
Day, yeah.
And they were one of the ones who were probably tipped for promotion as well. So to beat them first game of the season, that just done wonders for everyone in the building, and I think the fans as well. It obviously gave them a real lift to see that we had a proper team going into the season.
Yeah, and those first few games were really good. Obviously, we went away to Salford, drew 1-1, and then we beat MK here, which was really good. We played some unbelievable. That was the first time we'd properly, because obviously Bradford, they're always tough to play against, big strong team. But MK was the first game where we, I think, really played some nice football, and everyone was like, I couldn't believe it. Like that was the best football that Crawley had played in ages. But as the season progressed, it was tricky because we were never. We were at the very start. Other than that, we were never in, were we? We were sort of just always in contention. And do you think that, played a part in our favour, really? The fact that we weren't the ones necessarily that could throw it away. We were always the ones that were just on the cusp.
I think it did, yeah. Adding to the fact that, we were going into most games being the underdogs. I think we really relished on that. And we were never the ones with any pressure on us. It was always the other team. So I think that just gave us so much, even more fire in the belly, to do what we did, really.
Yeah, because there was a period in the season where I can't remember the exact. I should have done a bit more research before I thought of this, but we dropped down, I think, to around maybe 13th, 14th, and at that point nobody thinks, because that was around Christmas time as well, so nobody thinks we're getting in.
Yeah.
I remember the period, and it would lead us nicely onto the next segment. It was around sort of February, March, where we really turned it up a notch. I think we, obviously the March, and we had, in and around April was the good bit where we went away to Mansfield, away to Newport, were scoring goals for fun. I think we won like 4-1 and 4-0, those games. But before that, we had beaten people like Harrogate away, which again, obviously they weren't up there, but they're hard games to win.
Yeah.
And
Wimbledon away.
Yeah, Wimbledon away.
Similar
Exactly.
time.
In that period, we were so good. And that leads us nicely on to... I had a bit of trouble with this one because some of the goals you've scored, you've actually been really unlucky. You've scored a lot of the times when we've been on losing occasions.
Right.
So to actually find a pick out and talk about a goal where we've won a game has been quite hard. But we've got it here. Where have I got it here? The goal at Harrogate. It's a really important goal, isn't it? And just because obviously this is the equaliser, isn't it?
Yeah. He was on his heels, wasn't he, at the back post?
Probably isn't going to be the cleanest goal you've ever scored. But that game, in the first half, it was tricky because obviously Dion got injured. So Joy had come on. Joy played so well.
Yeah.
And then I think this was all in the second half, wasn't it? We just really turned it up a gear. But
yeah, sparked the comeback, that one, didn't it?
No, it was so good. And just that sort of period where, we're picking up away wins, because the season before that, we'd won up until Wimbledon away, the season before this, we'd won one away game. So we literally won that, and we won the Hartlepool game that basically kept us up. And then all of a sudden, we're almost better away from home than we are, when we're playing here.
Do you know what? The manager put a massive emphasis on that as well, because he was saying that as well, which we couldn't believe. But I think that helped us as well because of the big turnaround in the summer of players. Like, it was kind of like everyone felt externally that it was a huge monkey on our back that we couldn't win away from home. But so many of the players were different. So I never felt like, we're going away from home. Like, I used to love playing away from home. And obviously we had a brilliant record then towards the end of the season for playing away from home.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a really weird period, that for sort of season before, because we were never getting sort of outclassed away from home. We were just constantly losing like 1-0 or like picking up the odd decent draw, and it got to Wimbledon away, and it was crunch time. And then obviously, I'm sure Scott mentioned loads of times the Hartlepool game. That was different, different class. But then fast forward the season, you've got almost one of the last games of the season from keeping us in the Football League to now the last game of the season. We got a win to get in the playoffs, that Grimsby game. What were the nerves like going into that, or was it just like full of confidence? I've never. We'll talk about this a bit more, but I've never felt more at ease with a group of players than I did you guys last year. Every game, I felt I just turned up and we'd see like you lot walking in and go, yeah, they're going to win then.
Yeah,
you just look so confident.
Do you know what it is? It goes back to always being written off. It was like if all of us lads who had signed in the summer, if we were told, listen, on the last game of the season, you've got a chance to be in the playoffs, everyone would have snapped their hand up.
Yeah.
But it just, when there was other teams going into, I think it was Barrow, who were up there for the whole season.
Yeah,
I think it might have even been like the last day.
The last day, yeah.
When we pipped them, it was the only time where they weren't in
Pretty
the playoffs.
much, yeah.
So it was like they're the ones with all the pressure. We're feeling no pressure here. So we've just got to go out, win, and see what happens. But Barrow definitely, well, from what happened, they must have felt the pressure, yeah. But we didn't feel it at all.
Yeah, because it's easy for fans, I think, to obviously apply a little bit of pressure. But as Scott would have said in his sort of pre-match to you guys and in the press as well, it was just like, remember like where we come from, remember what we've built. We've turned players into, sort of sensational League Two players, and everybody's had their own sort of really inspiring story, and a lot of them have moved on, and they're doing really well at their other clubs as well. So that season was so special for so many of them. But the Grimsby game, it was a great moment, and obviously celebrating with the fans as well after, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. All the fans coming onto the pitch, it was class after, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was so good. And then the playoffs, I want to talk a little bit about the MK home leg. How weird was that? So we obviously had a good night after we clinched Grimsby, because we were in that fortunate position where we had I think maybe 10 days.
I think we did, yeah.
Yeah,
did we have our end of season awards?
We did
as well?
the night after. We had
a good night.
Impressive that, because a few of the lads we went out after the Grimsby game, because we were like, Scott was just like, look, go and have a few drinks. Like, you've got 10 days, clear. Like, have the weekend, and then we've got a week of work, and then we're playing on the Tuesday. So impressive. Some of the lads, I think you were one of them. 2 nights in a row, did the Saturday and then the awards on the Sunday as well. I've never seen stamina like it in terms of drinking. It was incredible. I turned up to the end of season awards, absolutely hanging, probably couldn't even stomach.
Everyone was.
By the end of it, everyone's. I think I had 2 or 3 drinks. I was like, I can't stomach this. Everyone else is absolutely flying again, which is impressive considering you don't drink a lot through the season either. But How weird was it having the MK game called off after you do a full week?
I forgot about that. I was wondering what you were leading on to there.
Because everybody does, and it wasn't until I was speaking to someone about it the other day. They're like, "Didn't you have that MK game called off?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, that was bad." Like that must have been because for a lot of the players, obviously, again we'll talk about it a little bit more. Obviously, you'd already played at Wembley, but for a lot of the players, you're thinking, right, 2 games from Wembley. Some of them, it's the only time they're going to get there in their career. You know, it's not a common occurrence, is it? You do a full week of work, you're so mentally prepared, and then a game in May gets called off for torrential rain. How weird was that?
I don't know if that's a first ever being called off in May.
Probably was, yeah.
We were all just like, there was never any inkling the night before either, so it was like just total shock on the day. And it was pretty deflating, to be honest. But it couldn't have affected us the way we played, a few days later. Or was it the next day? I don't even know.
It ended up moving it to the next day.
I can't even remember. Yeah. But so it didn't affect us because of showed how we played the next day. But no, it was very, very strange to be called off then.
And on the flip side of that, do you think it affected the MK players? I'm not saying that we
must not. If they came down and travelled the night before,
they did.
Maybe.
So they came down. They stayed the night. They then had to find somewhere to train on the Monday where the game was called off. So, like, bearing in mind, like, obviously when you're going away, you prepare for, like, a one overnighter. So, like, the lads are...
Do you want it replayed or something?
No, it's just like, an interesting... I didn't know if you would, like, think, like, that must have been a nightmare from a player's point of view, because they were training on the Monday in their, like, warm-up shirts from, like, for the Tuesday, for the Monday game, sorry. So, like, it must have had some effect, surely.
Yeah, but I mean,
I think we would have beat him anyway, by the way.
Make sure you said that now. Take that MK top off with that. No, so, listen, there's so many hurdles and unexpected hurdles in football that you come across. So, I mean, it's obviously not ideal, but it's not ideal for us either. We got on with it and we performed like we would have done if it was on the day before.
Well, yeah, and take away all factors, we then go and smashed them 5-1 at their place. It didn't really matter anyway. Exactly. It doesn't matter. But yeah, that must have been really bittersweet for you, because I'm sure a few people remember, obviously, you started the MK game at home, played about an hour, then going into the second leg with a 3-0 advantage, you're thinking, yes, here we go. And obviously you got injured, didn't you, in the first half?
Yeah.
It must have been gutting.
No, exactly. It was very bittersweet for me. I think it was slightly softened due to the fact that I had already played at Wembley, so it softened it a little bit. But no, it was still heartbreaking where I was carrying a little injury at the time going into the game. But I just thought I'd be able to get through it basically, and unfortunately, got injured again. But no, all turned out well in the end, didn't it?
Yeah, but when that happened, did you sort of know? Because I remember, obviously, it was, again, great scenes in the change room after with the fans, and I could sort of see you like visibly sort of upset as you would be. Did you know at the time that it was? Were you at that point just scared that you could miss Wembley, or did you sort of know deep down?
Yeah, you know straight away when you do something or pull a muscle. I mean, the turnaround was 8 days.
Yeah, it was
the
Saturday to the Sunday, I think.
Yeah. Like when you do something like that, then like there's no chance basically. So I knew straight away. Like on the pitch as soon as I'd done it, so I was pretty down, to be honest. But no, it was still unbelievable for the rest of the lads, and I wanted to enjoy it for them as well. Yeah,
you spoke about it there. You have already been to Wembley. Bit of a giant killing there, wasn't it? Little old Bromley rocking up, and I think, was that the new owners' first season?
Was
Robin Ryan or second season?
Yeah, first or second. Either way, they were massive favourites.
Big deal of that, and then you go and beat them at Wembley. Not bad.
Yeah, no, that was a good day as well.
Yeah. So did that settle it a bit for you? The fact that you'd already played and won at Wembley.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I was still heartbroken for ages after that, to be honest. Yeah. But that did slightly soften it. Yeah, the fact that I'd already been there, and like you said earlier, like not many players do. Spend their whole career and might not even get to play at Wembley. So yeah, it did soften it slightly.
Yeah, and I think the fact that when we talk about sort of League Two playoffs, especially, there's nothing on, that's not a dig at the sort of calibre of players you get there, because obviously you get some really good ones. But like I remember on the visit on the Friday when everybody sort of we had that little trip, didn't we, going to Wembley, sort of. I think they called it the acclimatisation visit. Like you see your changing room and everything, just to get you used to it. And like you're talking to some of the lads there, and like I can't remember who it was. But someone had already played. Liam Kelly played there like 3 times. I think he'd lost. I think he'd won a game, like lost 2, or maybe he lost both, if there was 2. And then you get people like you talking to Jeremy Kelly, and I remember Harry, the old football operations manager, saying to Jeremy, like, have you ever been like to a game or anything? It's like, no, I've never even stepped foot. Like everybody's been to like cup finals, but obviously Jeremy from the other side of the world, he's like, no, I've literally never stepped foot in here, which is crazy. It's not like a regular occurrence for a lot of these players, so it can't be sort of undervalued how amazing it is for a player to play at Wembley.
No, exactly. I mean, it's the pinnacle in our country, isn't it? For stadiums wise, and it's so it's like every kid grows up and wants to play at Wembley. Like it's everyone's dream, and to say that we've done that is a really special feeling. Yeah,
and going back to the confidence thing, I've never been so confident of a game after walking into a stadium at Wembley, and like all the lads coming off the pitch, like I'm sweating buckets, like really nervous, and like you're just talking to them like, yeah, we're going to win today. Like they just knew. And is that, as you say, just because it is, we were always underdogs, so you just sort of had that, sort of inner belief and inner fight to sort of get it done.
No, exactly that. I mean, I've rammed on about it so much in this thing, but we were underdogs the whole season. So going into that game, I mean, especially in the manner that we beat MK in the semis, we just knew we were going to win. Like we just knew that we were going to win at Wembley.
Yeah, and really turned it up at the right time, because other than Donny, we were, I think, the team with the most consecutive wins, because obviously that took us into the playoffs. And then I think even when, and it's again no disrespect to Crew, but like even I think a few of the lads at the hotel on Friday night before the MK second leg, when we hadn't even beat MK in the second leg, watched the penalty shootout between Donny and Crew. Crew had got through, and like so many of them, like I just saw, like even the coaches were just like, brilliant. We're gonna absolutely fly through this. And again,
they were on some run.
Because no disrespect to Crew, but like Donny, literally, I think it's funny. Their run started with us around the Easter period, beat us here, one of our 2-2 games, so like sellout crowd. They then didn't lose until they got knocked out of the playoffs. So like at that point, they're definitely favourites, which is crazy. But to see a group of lads so calm, I couldn't really get my head around it, to be honest. But after Wembley was pretty good as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was another, like the awards night. That was another heavy one there. Yeah. But we deserved it after 100%. the season. It was unbelievable night.
Yeah, no, to give people a bit of insight, we obviously had the hotel we stayed in. We went out. It was a long trip, wasn't it? You obviously go up, you train, you sleep, and then visit Wembley. Obviously slept, like you have the game, and then we went back to the hotel. And we had said, regardless of what happens, like you can't ring up a hotel and say we might win at Wembley today, so get ready. Like we had to sort of like pencil in this sort of party of it's either a leaving drinks, because obviously some of the lads were going to leave, anyway. So everyone come back to the hotel. How do you think that would have gone down if we had lost? Do you reckon people would have left pretty quick?
But you know what it is? You've got to think where again, what everyone was saying at the start of the season. I mean, even if we didn't win that match and didn't get promoted, we still deserved to celebrate what we'd done that season, because it was, so against the grain, and no one believed it apart from us. So I think even that should have still been celebrated. Obviously, everyone would have been gutted, but it would have been still a time for celebration.
And as you said, it was a heavy night, and I just want to praise again some of the lads. Ronan specifically, I don't think he went. Did anyone go home? Like really, obviously we went back to the hotel, and then sort of leading up to the after party. I generally think the players. Obviously, everybody went out, got back to the hotel, slept. You all went, like, maybe sort of a few hours sleep. You then all went to the pub, Goffs Manor up the road, and then came straight to this. So, like, we're talking nearly probably, 24, 48 hours on the booze, which was just incredible. And then you went away. Did you go away with the lads as well?
Yeah. So we went to Marbella as well a few days, or maybe a week or so after that as well. And then carried on the celebrations out there. No, it was a really special summer.
Yeah, no, and it was that sort of obviously winning the FA Trophy, was it, at Wembley with Bromley?
Yeah.
Nothing really compares to the promotion, really, I suppose, does it?
No, exactly.
Sort of highlight of, although obviously you weren't playing in the game, it's that in terms of what you accomplished throughout the season, is that sort of the highlight of your career so far, do you think?
For sure, yeah, for sure. Obviously, still hurts me now, to be honest, not being able to play that game, but it's, to get a promotion on your CV and, in the manner that we did. Yeah, just absolutely amazing, personally.
Yeah. And then, obviously, how did you find the start of this season? Because it must have been tricky, obviously. When you've only played a season at a club, obviously everybody knows who you are, but you're still relatively new, and you've come in with this whole new sort of crop of players, and then a lot of them have moved on. So before you know it, you've made all these sort of great mates and everything, and then lots of them obviously haven't moved too far away, but it must have been a pretty strange sort of time leading up to this season, just sort of seeing, so many go out the door, and then sort of before you know it, you're meeting a whole new crop of lads, and I spoke to Ronan about it at the start of the season, you're almost one of the senior ones of the group in terms of just people coming to you about the club because you've been here longer than most people. Yeah. So was that an interesting sort of change for yourself?
Yeah, but again, that's the model of the club, and it's what the owners do here. It's what they've done, last
well,
summer.
That's what people forget, is that it was like,
it's the exact same.
Just because we got promoted, it was the exact same sort of model. Obviously, we got rid of is an awful term, but some players moved on, from that season. It was exactly the same, and it's just always going to happen, with the model. So that's not a negative, thing to say, is it? That's just one of the ways that we do things.
It's exactly that. It's the way we do things here, and it brought us so much success last season. So, why can't that be the same this season? And there's so many quick turnarounds in football. It happens all the time. We've had a manager leave this season, another one come in. It just you just got to get on with it. It's the nature of the beast. And if you don't get on with it, then you're just going to let the season pass you by and not do anything special like we did last year.
Yeah, and obviously we had pre-season, as you say, obviously with Scott. And then was it in pre-season that you got injured, or was it the sort of... Yeah, it was right before one of the first games, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it was due to play on the first game, but it was in training a couple of days before. And that was a gutting one. But yeah, back fit again now, so that's all that matters, really.
Yeah, definitely. Was it the same injury that sort of kept you out from then until now? Because obviously you came back a few weeks ago. Was it?
It was a couple of different little niggles, but yeah, like I said, back fighting fit now and feeling good. Yeah,
and it's interesting, isn't it? We spoke to Toby about this as well. How not difficult, but what's the process for the players when a manager changes? Because it's easy to talk about the old manager and the new manager at any club and the differences, but for a player, how is it? What's the sort of process behind that? Is it just sort of how mentally do you have to sort of prepare yourself for like a big change, or is it just sort of that it's just you've got to do your job at the end of the day?
Yeah, no, exactly that. You just got to get on with it. Like I never personally, maybe others feel different, but I never had a mindset shift or a different mentality with a different manager coming in. It's just you're here, you come in, you train and do your bit of gym and you go home. So there's not really much to change. Maybe other players feel different, but I just my mindset stayed exactly the same and trying to impress a new manager coming in. Well, Harry, thank you for joining us. Did you enjoy your first podcast experience? Absolutely loved it, yeah. Enjoyed it more when you took off your MK top. Yeah, I've had Liam Kelly on my back, that's why. I had to give him a little bit of praise. But thank you for joining us. And Crawley fans, you can let us know who you want to see on the third episode, which will be released after Christmas. Not putting any pressure on me or you there, Matt. But after the Christmas period, we'll get another one done. So let us know who you want to see on the next one.